We're back with another episode of Anime You Should Watch, and I'm realizing now as I'm recording this second episode and listened back to the first one, it's really difficult to put my thoughts into words about why an anime is so good without spoiling it. So I do hope you forgive some of the rambliness that comes with these types of videos. It's just the nature of it, but I hope at the very least my excitement comes through in my rambling. But let's move on. Today's anime you should watch is one you've probably heard of, maybe, Steins Gate. So Steins Gate is a super classic and well-known sci-fi and time travel story, which is probably why you've heard of it before. If you haven't, that's totally okay. Steins Gate was originally a visual novel, part of the Science Adventure series, which is a series I don't know anything about. I'm not a huge visual novel player. I'm like exclusively played the Nonary games, and that's it. So I am an anime-only Steins Gate enjoyer. However, it is super good. So the story follows Okabe Rintaro, or mad scientist Hyoin Kyoma. I don't know if I said that right, that might have been embarrassing. In any case, it follows him and his friends who made a little science lab called the Future Gadget Laboratory. They've made a ton of weird things over their time in the Future Gadget Laboratory, but most importantly, they made a very interesting microwave. It turns out that this microwave can send text messages to the past, creating a form of time travel. However, where this anime really becomes interesting and unique is, one, its time travel mechanics are incredibly tight. Like, there are very few, if any, actual plot holes that you can draw from within this time travel that they've come up with. There are a couple unanswered questions that have stayed through with the community for a while, but for the most part, it's one of the, cleanest time travel ideas that I have ever seen. The story itself kicks off when Okabe sends off his first text message into the past, something that's called a D-mail, which are these text messages that go in the past, or emails that go in the past. And what that ends up doing is changing the world line that he is on to a separate one. So the first and only one that I'll spoil is that before the first D-mail is sent out, he sees Makise Kurisu, another time travel scientist, dead in a closet. And when he sends that D-mail, one of the first things he finds out is she is still alive. The story itself kind of goes on from there in a borderline slice of life about the Future Gadget Laboratory, who now has Makise Kurisu, an actual, real scientist who's kind of been studying and making papers on time travel stuff, creating and expanding how this time travel microwave emailer actually works. And a series of just smaller, cute character moments between the incredibly tight cast of characters that are in this anime. There are not a lot of characters. However, each one of them is incredibly important and gets their own time to shine within the anime. It all slowly builds up and up and up with these cute character moments where they go to maid cafes and do fun little experiments with just a twinge of smaller, kind of borderline horrific conspiracy-minded things about time travel coming in just to keep you engaged in the larger time travel plot, until it eventually comes to a head in just an incredible way. I don't even want to spoil what the vibe of it is, but I have never seen a story pull off a slow build to a sheer ramp into high-speed ludicrousness quite as well as Steins Gate. And the entire latter half of the story involves Okabe Rintaro coming to terms with fate, with the nature of humanity, with the actual specifics of time travel, just an incredible amount of things that he must overcome to achieve the goal he's trying to. Once again, trying to keep it spoiler free. But really, if you're looking for a slow build that pays off incredibly well, Steins Gate is absolutely, without a doubt, one of the best anime to do it. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to talk about with this one in regards to animation or music. The theme song is stellar, also the visual novel theme song is really, really good, but the animation is, it's nothing crazy, it's serviceable for sure, but there's nothing to really write home about. It's fine. For what it's worth, there's not a ton of action in the anime. It is so much just like psychological and character moments that you are coming to terms with, and if there's one thing the anime does well, it does frame those and give them the importance that they should have. No, the thing that makes me suggest that you watch this anime is the story alone. Truth be told, you should probably just play the visual novel if you've got the time. I imagine that's without a doubt the best way to experience this, but if you're time limited like I was, the anime is a really good substitute. From what I've been told, it adapts the source material fairly well, at least the larger route that you are trying to follow. I do believe the true ending of the visual novel, though don't quote me on that. In any case, the story is really what sells this entire anime. The tight cast of characters that all fit together really well, or when they don't fit together, it works to create a compelling character moment. The incredibly tight, like nearly plot hole-less time travel science that they've come up with is incredibly well done, and it makes you feel like a genius if you do manage to actually follow through some of the kind of time travel mysteries that pop up throughout the entirety of the show. And by the end of it, it is an incredibly compelling payoff. All of the turmoil, all of the buildup, everything pays off incredibly well in this short 20-something episode series. 24 episode series. It all pays off incredibly well, and it really is one of the most compelling sci-fi time travel stories that I have ever experienced. I think the only one that I think goes above and beyond it for me is the sequel, Steins Gate Zero, which will come up on this series of anime you should watch eventually, because there are a lot of reasons you should watch that, and some of the reasons are similar, and some of them are different and better. There are a lot of things I like better that Steins Gate Zero does. It also does animation worse somehow, but we'll get to that when we get to that. In any case, if you're looking for a sci-fi time travel story that has a lot of compelling psychological moments, borders on a thriller for like the back half of the series, then I really can't recommend anything more than Steins Gate. It's super well made, super well done. All of the characters are incredibly memorable, and if you're not waiting to hear that toot-toot by the end of the story, then, well, I just don't know what to tell you. In any case, you should check it out or play the visual novel. Either way, I guess this is still my outro, because I recorded this about 20 minutes after the last one. See you next time. Maybe we'll do another.